Hello. All right. So, welcome to my first YouTube video. I'm just getting things sort of set up. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. Okay, so there's the mute button. I'm just taking a look at also all the little things that I gotta be able to see. I see the chat. I hope you guys can be able to hear me. I'm not too sure with haven't been able to hear myself on the mic before. Just gonna see if anyone's gonna hop on. Oh, Pirate Dave is here. Perfect. Okay, so I'm here. It's working. Can you hear me as well? Oh, and there is a 60-second delay. Let me wonder if I could be able to change that. Okay. No, that's not it. How do I change the slow-mo option? Here, Dave, go and text me if you can. Can you hear me? How clearly? Is it good or bad? Just need one word. Sounds good. I'm not sure where the option is. What option? For the chat not to be slowed. Oh, I think that's at the very beginning when I first set it up, I think. Because I saw it at the very beginning, but yeah, so that will be on the next stream. I will do like 30 seconds or 25. I just don't want to be, flooded with chats. But okay, so anyway, so the mic is working, camera's good, and we got this much room. Perfect. So I guess I'll start going on. Get it clear it all. I'm not going to look at my phone anymore. Okay, perfect. Let's do this. Okay, so today's class is about tooling onto leather. So when you're tooling onto leather, you'll need veg tan. Veg tan is the type of leather. It's how they finish the leather, vegetable tannage, and so this stuff you were able to impress into or like tool, which is impressing designs into the leather. You can do inverted, which is pushing everything in, or traditional. Traditional is when you have everything pushed down besides the item and the item is raised. And then these are just cuts. So to show you sort of the differences, you see a little tiny turtle up there, that is inverted. So where the scales have been pushed down. And there's a background tool, a beveler tool, and we'll get into that kind of stuff. So this is tooling. Now, there is a small difference between stamps and tooling stamps. This is a tool. Yeah, exactly. Matt, this is he purchased one of the purses that I sell, and this was actually a test design for that turtle to see what kind of style of tooling he would like to have on it. and some leather paints and stuff like that. So yeah, always good to have little tester pieces before actually putting it onto the actual project. But sometimes it's better just to wing it. So yeah, so there's stamps and tooling stamps, or yeah, I guess they are classified as a stamp. Just trying to take a look for where's my stamps. Where tooling stamps is usually like an image, and then you slam it into the leather. So this is what you make actual like designs with. So if you want to make a deer, or if you want to make, a turtle or something like that. Don't shake it up. So what you're going to need is you'll need a few of these. Now, why I say a few is because it looks like I have a lot, but what we're really going to be working with today is what's called a beveler. So an angled tool. This is used for the edges, like that part, actually hammering down and making it have, you see the indents kind of thing. It has an actual lip. So bevelers, and maybe, depending on how I feel about it, a backgrounder. And so it's just a flat beveler pretty much. I use checkered because that's the design that I like a lot. And also a stylus. This is a double end stylus, but we're going to be using the ball point for it. Now, let's go these sides, grab the leather. We have our granite rock. This is, I believe it's granite. Or quartz. That's what it is, quartz. We also have our wing divider. We'll show you how to use this very soon. So, just to show you some of the indents into leather, it doesn't matter on how thick it is. It just, or there's no max to the thickness, but there is a minimum to the thickness. So this is about a 5-6 kind of area, or a 4-5. And so you don't want to go anywhere under a 3 ounce. 3 is working it kind of thing. If you're really delicate with your work, we're gonna need our spray bottle, but it's actually a mister. You don't want to have like an actual spray. We're gonna have to get the whole thing wet, not just a concentrated area. We also have to get our tracing paper. Tracing paper is a lovely way to be able to get your own designs. And like if you like a picture in a book, you get this tracing paper. It is like sort of a thin material, but it's really tough. And you put it onto your book and you draw the image. So usually I tape it in place and then I draw the image. Then you have the drawing onto the tracing paper, and now you put it onto the leather, right? And you sort of figure out what one works best. I really like this one, so this is what we're going to be using for the top of our hat. Of course, we're going to be figuring out what is back to front. So this is the front. I put an F there and a B there. Good little cheat ways, because you're not going to be able to see that too much, right? So now that we got our front, aiming up, have our rose, find a nice position kind of thing. All right, that's what we're going to be going for. So we're going to get our water, and we're going to get our leather, and I'm going to spray it over onto a little bit of the side, just because electronics over in this area. But now the leather has a different kind of color. You see where my thumb actually sort of was. So let's see. You see how it's getting darker? That's what we're going for, kind of thing. When the water is making the leather tacky and damp and wet, not wet, damp and cool. That's it. Yeah, because you don't want to have too much water in this either. Leather is like a sponge. It has multiple air pockets inside itself. Okay, and little air pockets. And so what we're doing is we're letting the leather become moldable, so that way those air pockets are compressed. And so when we're doing our tooling, uh, that's what allows it to stay in place. So that's why you can't tool leather that is already sort of pre-colored kind of thing. You do your tooling first, then you color. That way the color doesn't fill in those air pockets, and then you can't squeeze it anymore, right? Oh, also another tool that we're going to be using is a swivel knife. I forgot to mention that. Okay, so we got our leather wet. Say that 5 times fast. Get our ballpoint pen. And now we're going to try and figure out where's a good placement. I know that we've already just done this, but that's why having sort of an idea of where it's going to be is better. I'm going to get some tape to tape this down. Reason why I tape this down is because once you've made a small indent into the leather, it is there. You can't really get it out. And so, take your time, do it right the first time, and things will be okay. And see, when you tape it, you can sort of pull onto the thing and then just slide the leather underneath. Find I think that's a pretty good spot. It's close. Right about there. Okay. And I'm going to go and tape that. And we might, yeah, there we go. Just pull it. Just got to do what you got to do to make it work. Because what happens is when we're starting to actually push it in, it will sort of stay on by itself because the material is getting pushed onto the leather, and the leather is tacky right now. So that's why. So it doesn't take too much pressure. I've always sort of strong armed it, and my hand sort of hurts from time to time. So my boss was telling me it really doesn't take too much pressure to get these lines in. You're basically just drawing on the leather. But what we really want and focus on and take our time with is drawing on the lines that we've drawn before. Because remember, once we've pushed in the leather, see, I've already overshot a little bit, but we can fix that. Leatherworking is just like artwork. We can't erase things. So what we do instead is we make it look intentional, right? And then it becomes a piece of art. Look at that. All right, and so usually I also have my face a little bit closer to this, but I'm trying to keep my head out of the view. It looks like you guys got a pretty good view. And hello, everyone that is watching. I forgot to say hello. If anyone's got any questions, this is sort of the time I can be able to answer anything, as we are just going to be taking our time getting this done. And that's sort of the trick with leatherwork. Like I said, is taking your time, but it all has stages and steps. So each step takes its own time. So this might take, a person a day or two by itself, while, the other parts they find really fast. Some people might find that this is the easy part. And so, it's It's really about learning all the steps and seeing how they all relate to each other. Oh, thank you. Thanks for the good job. I hope I'm explaining things clearly. I'm trying to not ramble either. Now, the reason why you also don't want to press too hard is because as you saw a little bit there, I don't know if you saw, but I started to push the actual tracing paper out of the way. So that's not good, right? Because then the lines, you can't really fully see where the line is supposed to end. You might think it might be in the middle, but it was actually further than what was intended. And also, you see that I'm pressing my fingers into the leather. It's not going to mark up the leather as much as this tool is doing. You'll pretty much see that there's no finger marks into the leather. So if there's finger marks into the leather, you're pressing pretty hard. That's what the tape also really comes into play. It helps out a lot. But it's not needed. I'll let you say that. I'll say that too. I don't know if we did this line. Pretty sure we did, but sometimes it's better to go over twice than to forget about it altogether. Okay. Also, a good little tip and trick for this is to start in one corner and then work your way downwards, because like I said, you want to make sure that you want to have all of the lines. Nothing sucks more than when you've done all of this tooling and then you forgot to do one single line within it. Now you have to lay back this perfectly flat, find the perfect, it's lines up perfectly, and then do that one little line. So don't want to be a stickler, but take your time. Usually having your tools straight up and down is way more efficient and better for the leather as well. For anyone that was wondering why, I'm not doing this a lot, I'm trying to not. So when it comes to an image such as this, if you're going to be stealing it off of a book or something like that, you're going to have to draw it 3 times over. So this is the second time. So the first time is when you've actually drawn it with pencil. Then the second time is when you do this. And the third time is when we're going to go into a swivel knife. Very close to being done. Okay, so I was pressing a little bit hard, so that's why my hand was cramping up. But so what I do is when I've gotten to this stage, I'm pretty sure I've gotten all the things. I just lift up one of them. I look underneath and I take a look. And so what I do is sort of just back and forth, make sure I got all the lines. It looks like it. So we can untake the rest. Hopefully I didn't click on anything. Now having Scotch tape sort of helps a lot better than the Gorilla Tape that I use, but I want to make sure that they stay. Okay, so we are done with this tool for now. Next up, I think would be a good time to add in our wing divider. So this tool allows you to be able to set what kind of how much distance you want from the edge of your leather for making your stitch lines. So I do about this one. What I'm doing is I'm going to be doing lacing. So I want a little bit of a middle for meat because it's going to be going round and round. Okay, now that we got it set, we're going to put one edge onto the side and the other one just drags. And just take your time with this one too, because it's easy to go over. Here. Grab this one. This one actually is like a geonomics or whatever, but I find that it actually works a little bit better than the scratching. So one side has a stabby point and the other side doesn't have a stabby point. The stabby points, sure, they're nice and all, but you're wanting to press the leather rather than cut the leather. Now, the issue with this one is that it sort of widens itself over time. So you just sort of have to work it back into itself again. Okay. So for anyone that's seeing, that's that line going around. That's going to be the actual sewing of our top of our hat. So this is where your head is sitting up top. Okay, now we're done with the wing divider. What we're going to be doing next is a swivel knife. Now, at this point, the leather is drying. It doesn't feel damp or tacky at all. It feels quite dry. It's once it starts to dry, it also becomes sort of harder as well. So you want to make sure that once it's wet, keep it wet or like damp at least, and don't let it completely dry. Reason is because once you keep doing it over and over and over again, it becomes dry and brittle. And so your leather, once bendy, now becomes breaking and cracking. So actually a perfect time just to look at that. See how the leather gets darker? And you want to do the whole thing. Reason is because if you just do one spot here, it's going to get water damage into that area. So you want to do the whole thing. If you're ever getting it wet, even if you're working in this section, you got to get the whole thing wet because it's going to show over time and it'll have an effect. So, little thing about swivel knives, a little fun thing about this is mine is red, as you can see. Now, this is because I've spent some good amount of dollars onto this. And this is a ruby blade, a blade that doesn't need to be stropped. Stropping is the act of, you see that this different coloring kind of thing? Stropping is sharpening without taking away the actual metal from the blade. It's basically honing the knife's blade. It allows you to be able to do the carving because you need to, cut through it, and steel ones are notorious for stropping. Even in this project alone, I had to strop it at least about 3 to 5 times. Now, the reason why I see I've spent quite a bit of money on this, is because you never have to strop it ever. So that is really nice. You don't have to sharpen it or strop it. So when I do a lot of tooling, this is a perfect item. Most blades will always come like this. This is a normal blade, like besides the fancy part of it. I mean, just the flat of it. That is quite normal for a swivel. You see how it turns in my hand with just using my fingers. And I also have this one pushing down into the leather. Okay. Let's start doing some cuts. So we're turning this. We're turning the actual barrel for the cut. We're not moving the blade. Like, you sure you're pulling the blade to yourself, but the actual turning is all the barrel. So you angle it and turn the barrel. Now, doesn't take much pressure either. I'm sort of going a little too hard. There we go. You see how much smoother I'm going? Like that's going now. It's not because there's less turns. It's because I've oh, sorry if my head's in the way. Because of I'm not pushing as hard. So that's why it's cutting smoother. Okay, I'm out of the way. Good. Now, normally you want to go towards yourself, but I find that sometimes doing these cuts going sideways helps me a little bit, being able to see the line. Now, this is sort of the one that you really want to concentrate more on, because once it's cut, it's cut. And going over your lines again, like doing the same cut twice, does not work out well. It's usually like a one cut kind of deal. Reason is because what happens is you do multiple cuts on the same line. It's going to have a bunch of layers, like almost like an onion, um, of when you're tooling away. There's going to be like these little lines that keep coming back up and stuff like that, and that's because there was multiple cuts on that one location. And really, we're just using one of the corners of the blade. We're not using the full extension or the full width of it. And see, you turn and you turn. And bang. And you see how some of the cuts are starting to come out a little bit more clearly? And we turn the blade. So I hope everyone's day is going well so far. And I also find spinning the leather helps a little bit too. That's why you'll find me turning it so much. Also, when it comes to corners, you sort of want to have both cuts starting at the corner and then going inwards. because going the other way, like I was doing, it can lead to overextending your cuts. All the twists and turns. You see, sort of did an overcut there, but we fix it by just extending the leaf. Sometimes you don't have that kind of room, so being very wary is important. Yeah, slightly overcut. And getting a little dry. Now, you don't want to drench it either, but having a nice layer of water dampening it really helps. One thing I'm going to have to figure out is usable music that could have sort of in the background. Have some kind of lo-fi or something like that. That'd be interesting. Also, I hope my head is not in the way. I'm trying to keep it out of the frame. Now, I'm still trying to get used to this blade as well. I just got it like a month ago or so, and so I'm still learning it. Well, it's just a blade, though. Well, it does handle a little differently. It's a nice blade. It's just definitely something I have to work on. It's kind of dry again. I'm glad that I'm starting to get out of this tiny area. This tiny area is getting slightly annoying. Do. So this is the glorious leather working. But this is also why, having custom work also is a little bit pricey. Because you have to have someone taking their time and the skill as well. Because it may look easy, but I've been doing this for about 4 years now, kind of thing. And I work at a leather shop, and for the past year now, and I'm still learning a bunch of little tricks and nicks and all that stuff. So what also will be happening on this channel is from time to time I'll be talking about fights, and because I'm a sword fighter on the outside life, so I like to train people and just whack bat from time to time. So I definitely love to be able to do some training videos and footwork videos. Anything that people are interested in would you guys want to put those into the comments, what you would like to see, I can possibly take a look at it. We're almost there, but you can still see that it keeps drying up, but it's slightly tacky, so there's obviously still water in there. And when you overwater it, when you start doing the tooling, if you overwater it, it doesn't compress well. So that is something to be aware of as well. We're almost there. Ah, ta-da! And so this is now finally swivel knifed. And so you can see that like trying to stay on the lines is very important. That's what I always keep saying, right? But trying to make this quick and simple for you guys as well. And that's not that bad for what 20-minute kind of maybe 10-minute. I think it was 15 somewhere on there. Okay. Next up is beveling. So that was the third time that we've drawn this image now. Okay. So we finally done the drawing station of it. Now I might go on to mute while I'm doing the tooling because I don't want it to be like noise in your guys' ears. So I'm gonna go on mute, but I will be watching chat. And let's see. Okay, so we're gonna be using what's called a beveler now. Okay. Now there's two different bevelers that I have, but they're the same. It's just the sizing. So this one's a little bit wider than this one. This one's more for my leaves and stuff like that. Okay. And now I'm going to go on to mute. Well, first off, actually, I'll talk about how it's working on this big one first. So we're going to be putting the lip of the edge, that tall edge, right, into the channel of the knife stroke that you did, and we're going to be tapping away. Okay, so you see that there's that line now, and it has an edge now to it as well. So if you were doing traditional, you would do it the other way. So the flower would be popping up, but we're doing inverted. So this is going to be pushed in. Okay. So I'm going to go on to mute now that you guys know how to use the tool. And you're always wanting to keep it up straight. And when you're doing the taps, you're not hammering hard. So here's a little trick as well. So now that we're going into this one of these corners, is it's big at the bottom, but then you gotta shallow it off because you're not trying to hit any of the outside portions. You're just trying to keep it within that area. So lightly tapping it at the near the ends helps your corners. You don't have an overmark of this checkerboard stuff, right? We want to have the shadow inside our project, not outside. Hello, anyone new to watching this? I just, in case anyone's seen, I'm going to be doing tooling. I'm just on mute, just in case. If you have any questions, just put it in chat. So here's actually something I want to talk about a little bit is the art of beveling is it looks those are crisp clean lines, right? Well, it's also because I've been practicing for a very long time. Here, let me pull up the light a little bit better here. And the reason why I'm saying this is because where is it? This one. If we're going to look closer onto this one, you see right there those little lines that is from the stamp. Like, it's only hammering one area. And so what that motion of walking the tool is called walking. And so you're trying to get that tool mark to not have those little lines. You see how everything else, yeah, I see a little overcut there kind of thing. So, and then a little bit of line right there. But you see, like even myself, I still have little tiny imperfections, and those are the things that you always pay attention to and try to learn for the next time, right? And so, yeah, you see how there's not really lines in the other ones besides this. This is because we'll go and fix this. Okay, so we see the area, and we're walking the tool back and forth in that area, and bang! You see how there's no more lines there anymore? So that's what we're trying to go for is the crisp lines. And you feel it again. It feels tacky. We're still good. It's still cool to the touch kind of thing. So that's good. So I'm going to go back onto mute again. Now this is something I want to talk about as well. Is you see how there's the vine going into the flower kind of thing. We want to have that flower defined than the vine kind of thing, right? So either we're going to impress the rose itself or the vines. We'll do a like an actual press. But if we were just going to do these kind of lines, you see how going lightly less, more shallow has still more of a lip for the actual rose. You can still see where the rose like is. And if that isn't showing up as much as you like, you can just go back to the rose. The thing that is more like pushed in, you have to think of a 3D kind of layering, right? And so we just tap that in and you see like the line is there, it's crisp kind of thing, right? So we see that there's a vine there, but the rose itself, it doesn't have this weird lip, you know. Perfect. Here's another good little tip as well, kind of thing, is what was the difference between a line cut beveled and a non-line cut bevel? So it's how much of an edge you're going to have. So this top here, I had to overextend, and so it you see how it's a little bit uh, more pushed in kind of thing, or it has like a slope to it. Reason is because the leather is being pushed down versus let's say that this is the leather. We cut right where the knuckles are. You see how it slides down. Now, if we were to hammer right where the knuckles were without the cut, you see how it goes in a U shape. So that is the big difference between a swivel cut beveled and a non-swivel cut bevel. Now, here's an interesting thing is you see how some of these corners are really tight, but they're also round. Is when you're walking the tool, the motion of moving, when you're in those kind of corners, you can simply turn the actual tool in a round motion. So that's how you can be able to get some of these curves for how small they are. So it's getting a little tight in here, so I'm going to be using the smaller beveler. Now, a good suggestion from time to time is walking away from the project when you need a break, kind of thing. But since I only got the last little bit here, I'm going to go and finish this off before heading off. I think, because then we got tooling a rose onto a leather hat. At least one stamp. I did do a background tool for this one that wasn't really cooperating too well, so I just smashed that in, kind of thing. But I think the rest of the flower is going to be fine. But the leaves, no, the stem definitely. The stem is going to be backgrounded. That'll be backgrounded, and a little bit of just that, I guess. Maybe a little bit of that. But yeah, so that's the plans at least. So now that we've gotten our beveling done to the point where uh, I'm decent with it, or adequate with it. Some of these pieces I wish went a little bit better. There's a few of them that didn't turn out as well as I wanted. But that's also because I'm being hard on myself. So yeah. So there is a rose. Okay, so now quickly we're gonna do a background tool now and show you the difference between what it looks like now versus when it has some of the backgrounder in it. So there we go. We have a wild rose tooled in some leather. And you see how the background, let that focus in, come on. So yeah, the backgrounder tool just gives it more of a checkered background. And yeah, less of a 3D kind of effect because the bevel is at an angle, right? So and some of the swivel knife cuts. Very nice. And then soon enough, I'll be making holes right where that line is all around so I can be able to sew it onto the project. But yeah, I hope that you guys found this information or what was it? Not entertaining. Well, entertaining and also educational. I hope you all have a good rest of your day, and thanks for being part of my stream. All right, have a great day.